And I'm getting on. They keep me searching for a heart of gold, and I'm getting on. I've been to Hollywood, I've been to Redwood, I crossed the ocean for a heart of gold. I've been in my mind, it's such a fine line that keeps me searching for a heart of gold, and I'm getting on. It keeps me searching for a heart of gold, and I'm getting on. Keep me searching for a heart of gold, and I'm getting on. You keep me searching for a heart of gold. You keep me searching. I'm still searching for a heart of gold, and I'm getting on. Good morning, everybody. Thank you.
So faboo,
Yeah.
Jason. Neil
Thank
Young, you said, right?
Yes, that's right.
Jason Goldstein, everyone.
Good morning.
Quite fabulous, right? Quite fabulous. So good to have you here today.
Thank you. It's nice to be
And
here.
happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
I was thinking of the aspect of fathering, obviously, in preparation for today. And as I was sitting there listening to that beautiful rendition of that song, looking at this orchid, I thought, I've been playing the father to this orchid for the last 2 services. So this is our 3rd in-person service that we've used it. So if any of you know me, to know that I could take care of an orchid plant for 90 days or whatever, in and of itself is a miracle, and that it's still living. So, you know, if I can pluck a vegetable off of it or fruit and make something to eat, then that's a given. But to tend to it as a plant, it's a miracle. So happy Sunday, everyone. A big hello and thank you for all to be here, and hello to all of those watching us online. And let's all just take a deep breath in and exhale. Appreciation. Appreciation for the opportunity to be here, to be everywhere that we are in this moment, and to have our self-awareness, and to have our fortitude, and to have our mindfulness, and the opportunity to think anew. That is really what we're all about here at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. I'm Reverend Dr. Keith Cox, and I appreciate you being here at our Sunday celebration service that happens in person, which is happening today, June 15th, which is Father's Day in the year 2025. We are known as the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, and our vision statement is supporting individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. Today it is my invitation for each of you, whether you're in person here in the room or watching online or at a later date on consuming us through YouTube or Facebook, that you're willing to set the intention to have a spiritual awakening. A spiritual awakening in our philosophy, faith, and way of life, known as the science of mind, is a remembrance that we are one with the sea of consciousness. And I love the visual that creates, because, hi Dan, welcome, that we can think about and have some reference point for all of us, the sea itself, and then look at that as the sea of consciousness and all the molecules of life that exist within it, and then the calmness that exists within it, and then the wildness that exists within it, and the power that's there. That is a metaphor for and to each one of us to remember of the power that we are imbued with, and we get to access that power through our thinking, our beliefs, our actions, our reactions, and our interactions with the very thing itself. And because we live in a universe that's governed by spiritual law, the way that we choose to think, react, interact, and be, it then responds to that and provides for us an experience in life, that which we're looking at, feeling, experiencing in life, that is reflective to the totality of how we know ourselves to be, the power itself, and then choosing to use it moment by moment by moment for the purpose of living life, and then contributing to life expanding more of itself and reflecting its innate nature. That was a lot, wasn't it? And pretty darn good, if I say so myself. Don't you think? All right, so there are cookies outside. Enjoy them. We'll call it a day. No. I share all of that because A, it's my job, and B, because I think it's important for us to remember and hear in new ways about the power of the thing itself. And sorry, the iced tea went down the wrong way, or the water. Iced tea was back there I'm drinking. And as you can tell, it had a lot of caffeine in it, and and our opportunity to express it in all of its magnificence and all of its power. And so, as we like to honor our founding minister, Dr. David Walker, who every Sunday morning would say to us, we know that our word has power and you're welcome here. We would say together this affirmation, and I'm going to say it first and then ask you to say it with me. We welcome one and we welcome all. Ready? Say it together. We welcome one and we welcome all. So we're going to open our service with a ritual called calling in the light. And today I would like to use the flames of faith to, as we use this ritual and open our service today. And I'm doing that because I don't know if you guys are aware, but there's been a bit of unrest in our country of lately. And certainly here in the city of Los Angeles, right? We were talking about it earlier, right? So there's just a little bit of chaos that's happening. And when we say we welcome one and we welcome all as a teaching, as a philosophy, we mean literally all. right? We understand that we are all connected as the power of the divine itself. One of my favorite Ernest Holmes quotes that many of you have all heard me say time and time and time and time and time again, but I want us to hear it differently today based on the experiences that we've all witnessed and potentially been a part of this past week, and also through the opportunity of setting the intention of how we would like to use our mind from this moment forward. It's an Ernest Holmes quote, and it's this: "Spirit has placed the stamp of individuality upon itself and called it you." That doesn't mean it's called it you, the individual, and just you. It means you, the individual, all individuals. And so when we use this ritual this morning called Lighting the Flames of Faith, I invite us all to bring into our mind's eye, which I've stated before, individuals that we know that honor and participate in the fates that we call out. So Jason, if you'll give me a little background music. Calling in the light, lighting the flames of faith. The purpose of this ritual is to draw into our gathering this morning a more conscious awareness of our oneness and the qualities that we possess as complete expressions of the divine. And so today, on this day in the Gregorian calendar known as June 15th, year 2025, we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life. To promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths and all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence which we call Spirit. And fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience which we honor here today. And so as I light this candle, it shall symbolize the following. We light it for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, that which is known as the natural way. And we illuminate it for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. And for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. And for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. And for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. And for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness, which is also known as the path of love. And for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. And for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. And for all forms of New Thought, that which we practice here, the Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. We bring all that together and declare this candle on our altar here as the healing candle. And to put yourself and all that you love into the light of the healing flame so that they may experience the eternal and everlasting love of the divine. I'm going to share a brief reading with you that I would like to use as our prayer for today. And it's from a writing from the Franciscan Spirit titled Choosing Light Over Darkness. We cannot tell the future, so we cannot say with certainty what crisis might occur in our lives and world tomorrow, next month, or next year. We can be certain that as long as people populate the earth and are wonderfully and frightfully human, there will undoubtedly be trouble that will adversely impact us, our families, and our communities. But we can be just as certain that we have a light inside, a spirit that inspires us and others, especially when crisis arises, Moreover, each of us has talents, special and unique, that we can bring to bear before and after any of life's challenges. The stronger we allow ourselves to be, the more vigorously we will bring out light and talent to ourselves and others, whenever and wherever hurt may happen. Jason's going to take us through the song Lighting the Flames of Faith. And I invite you to sing along should you desire.
There is one flame that burns in our hearts. There is one light that shines through our love. We light this flame with faith. We light this flame with faith. We find this light within our own soul. There is one flame, one light within.
And so it is. That song is so pertinent and appropriate for now, for all of us, to remember there is one light. And yesterday I was at the, and I thought of you so often because you and I were at something in that park at West Hollywood years ago, protesting. And I was at the protest there yesterday, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it was so powerful. And the energy was definitely intense, but also pure, just pure love radiating everywhere. I mean, definitely there was energy there to want to change things that people didn't like, but it was of pure love. And you know, there was moments having a hard time moving, and I had my four-legged spiritual offspring, Sweeney, with me, and she was navigating it all, and people were loving on her, and it was crazy. And I wasn't really watching what was going on because you couldn't really see the stage, but as it was moving, there was throngs everywhere. The person speaking stated something to the effect of, "In this darkness, it's our time to bring the light." And with that, the crowd started chanting, "We are light. We," right? I know, right? Like, I'm like, am I hearing what I think I'm hearing? I'm like, how incredibly metaphysical. And as they were chanting it, we were chanting it. In fact, I invite us all to say it together. Ready? We are light. We are light. We are light. We are light. We all know instinctively and innately and intuitively that those words have power. And not only do they have power, but they're invoking onto the law of life the energy that's behind them. And it must go out and do its thing and return to us. And I could feel it in the crowd as it was just changing the energy. It was like a wave moving through this just sea of consciousness, sea of people moving through there. And I could hear in my own mind, not only we were chanting it, I could remember being in Malawi the time I did work there and us chanting, and being at teen camp and chanting, and just all different places chanting, knowing that that energy was rising up, that energy of pure light, remembering my acronym for light is living in God's healing truth. And what I was feeling was God's healing truth was rising up and doing what it needs to do to create a shift on our planet. And we may not see that shift tomorrow, we might, but at some point, the tide comes back. And so I just felt like I needed to say that before you sing your next song.
Yeah.
So Jason has picked a song that is a divine intervention as well, which we had not discussed before today. And Hida, I don't know if he knows this, but I would say if I had 3 favorite songs in my life, All three would be equal, and this is one of them. Jason Goldstein.
Thank you. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saves a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see. It was grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieve. How precious did that grace appear. The hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, we have already come. It was grace that brought us safe thus far, and grace that will lead us home. Well, we've been there 10,000 years, bright as the shining sun. We've known no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Than when we first begun. Than when we first begun. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Incredible arrangement of Amazing Grace, right?
Thank you.
Just fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
The lyric that's speaking to me right now is we've had no less grace than the days. What's it?
No less days to sing God's praise.
To sing God's praise than the days that we first begun. does that speak to the moment of now, right? I mean, that's definitely all about the moment of now. Fabulous. So I'm going to start by reading something that I love, and it's been a little bit of a ritual, as many of the readings I've done on days like Mother's Day or Father's Day over the years, and I just love this piece. I sat in my dad's living room reading one night while he watched television. An hour passed before I realized it, and I felt bad for not speaking during that time. I asked if he was okay, and he said yes. Then I apologized for not talking more. Carmen, Dad replied. This is this person. My dad didn't call me Carmen. Carmen, Dad replied, talking is like ketchup. If you like the meat enough, you don't need the ketchup. And if you like the company enough, you don't need the conversation. My dad never earned a college degree, but he was the smartest person I ever knew. Isn't that sweet? It speaks to me on so many different levels. It speaks to me, obviously, of the wisdom that it's referencing in the context of the father being smart, but it also speaks to me every time I read it of one of the last times I was with my dad while he was still alert and awake and alive, and consciously giving of his love to me. At the time, it didn't feel like that. There was some really awkward moments of silence. And in reading this, it helps give me a new perspective on what could have been unfolding in that moment, was just simply just letting the silence be the love, that we didn't need ketchup in that moment. And so what it speaks to me of in that moment and on this Father's Day, and my invitation for each of us today, is to be willing to not only have a new, healthier perspective with our fathers if we need to, or have a new or healthier perspective as I'm having today of being a father, but also from the concept of realizing, just as the lyric says, that we have no less days than we've had before, that all that we really have in life is the moment of now. So all we ever have is the moment of now. And we're blessed with this philosophy, faith, and way of life and teaching that reminds us at every turn that within the moment of now, we have the ability to decide how we want to engage in this now. Our theme for the month, and I believe the reading of Talking is Like Ketchup speaks to this, which is June Groom. It's time. Now, I don't know if you have this in Northern California. We have some visitors from Northern California like we do in Southern California. But in Southern California, we're very well versed in the term June gloom, right? And I decided to call this theme this month June Groom, not because I was having a speech impediment, but to choose consciously to put the R where the L is, from the perspective to not sit back and be the recipient of the ideology of living in gloom for 30 days, and being at the expense of what could be unfolding through Mother Earth and nature itself, but to be a participant in what's unfolding of nature itself and make a decision to use our power differently. Groom is defined in the context that I want to use it as to prepare or train someone or something for a particular purpose or activity. The intent that I have for us today and the invitation is that we look at June Groom, this month in particular, to consciously and purposefully and intentionally train ourselves to the best of our ability for the purpose and the activity of expanding our field of awareness. To groom our being, if you will, to train our mind to use it in a way that is not only reflective of our divine nature, but that will bring forth through us a sense of personal self-empowerment, which is a result of a spiritual awakening, going back to our vision statement of supporting individuals finding personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. Why is it important for us to groom or train our field of awareness, to groom our being, to tend to the way that we think? It's important because this is a foundational, fundamental component of our philosophy, faith, and way of life known as the science of mind. It's because it's important for us to remember at all times, to the best of our ability, that we're experiencing life relative to our thoughts and our feelings. This is both at the micro level, meaning exactly what you're feeling right now as I'm saying this, right now how you're feeling sitting in the chair, right now making the decision as to whether or not you're wondering what's happening after the service or concerned about what happened prior to the service, right? That is the micro of it, as opposed to being open to the best of your ability to pull into the now, and then to pull into the now, and then to pull into the now. And that's not always easy to do. I had some real preconceived ideas of what was going to happen today, right? And then it's looking radically different than that. And I was just thinking to myself, I was sitting back there listening to that fantastic version of that song, thinking to myself, wow, if everything had played out the way I had thought they were going to play out, there's a very strong possibility I would not have been able to hear Jason sing this song in this way. And yet I wouldn't trade this moment for listening to Jason sing this song in this way for anything. For anything. That's grooming our mind to be present in the moment to the best of our ability, and to then understand that as we're doing that, we are in fact expanding our awareness, expanding our consciousness without ego, without opinion, just an understanding that that's the way life works. Because as we change, as I did back there, changing and tuning into appreciation for the moment itself, it brought peace within my being, both from the perspective of witnessing that song, witnessing you witnessing that song, knowing there are those online witnessing that song, and the appreciation that I have for every time I've ever heard the song Amazing Grace or sang it. Appreciation for having had those moments, and then also to have a new perspective moment by moment, hearing by hearing, singing by singing of the lyrics of the song Amazing Grace. Now that sounds like a lot of mind games going on, but it's not. What it really is doing exactly what we're talking here about as June Groom. It's about grooming our field of awareness so that to the best of our ability, it is not only providing empowerment for ourselves, but also reflecting our divine nature. Training your mind, according to the great resource of intellect called AI, says this: training your mind involves developing cognitive abilities through your various activities that challenge your brain. How many in this room have had their brain challenged this past week? And how many have had it happen when you have been at the result or the effect of what's going on, as opposed to consciously training your brain? Now, I'm not judging either way. I'm just asking because I think it's important for us to remember that at all times we are a result of what we're thinking. And the important thing to remember is that to the best of our ability, we can choose what we're thinking. One of the things that drew me into this teaching, and I'm sure all of you as well, is the very basic, fundamental, foundational statement: change your thinking, change your life. Change your thinking, change your life. So then it's really important for us to remember that we're here to change your mind, which involves developing cognitive abilities through various activities that challenge your brain, which can improve our focus, memory, and overall mental fitness. Who wouldn't love to have greater focus, greater memory, and of course, overall mental fitness, right? Of course we would. Because training our mind, and especially when we do it through the aspect of mindfulness practice, that involves bringing us back into the present moment, which can help us develop an awareness of our thoughts and emotions, which then can improve our emotional regulation and thus reduce anxiety. But it doesn't happen just by happenstance. It happens by you and I setting the intention, having the willingness and the open-mindedness to be mindful in the moment. As you and I continue to navigate this journey of finding personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening and through the intention of June Groom, it's important to us to remember that the key to all of this is being awake, being purposeful, being receptive, and being intentional and purposeful, and expanding our faith. Expanding our faith. And to remember that in those moments, which I'm sure many of us have had over the last week, where a little bit of fear may have creeped in, to feel the fear, acknowledge it, take a step back, take a deep breath, exhale, become awake, become purposeful, become receptive, and then intentional to release the faith, the fear, and open up to the faith. Today, on this Father's Day in the year 2025, today I don't want to not necessarily look at the act of fathering. I'm sorry, I got distracted. I tapped my phone to look at the time, and this picture of Sweeney popped up. So, of course, I got distracted, right? Looking at my being the father to her. But not necessarily the act of fathering per se, but look at, my intent is more to create a new perspective as to the role, certainly that a father plays, but to the role that exists for each and every one of us in how we use the masculine principle in the creative process of life. Why is that important? Because at all times, this creative process of life is unfolding. Just yesterday, I had a moment where I've been doing a lot of work of setting intentions, doing chanting, listening to particular information coming through as I'm out walking in the mornings, right? And a lot of it is I'm open to the divine as it's showing up in a new way through me. I'm letting go of old ideas, old approaches, and receptive to new. I'm open to new. And had this fabulous walk with little Miss Sweeney, and then ended up at Starbucks to get a coffee. And as I stepped up, and one of the pieces that I'm looking at is just being open to meeting new people. Let's put it that way, right? And so as I walked up to Starbucks, there was this incredibly handsome man sitting at the table, and of course I got distracted, right? As did Sweeney, and I'm like, go talk to him, Sweens, go talk to him, right? So, and he was receptive, and we got into this really beautiful conversation, and then I went in and got my coffee and came back, and I said, may I sit? And he said, yes, and we were having this really lovely conversation, and he said, what do you do? And oftentimes in that situation, I don't always necessarily say, oh, by the way, I'm a minister, because sometimes that can really work, and sometimes it does not work, right? So I oftentimes will say something along the lines of, oh, I work with individuals finding their personal self-empowerment, oftentimes through a spiritual awakening, and then see how that responds, right? But instead, I just said to him, oh, I do counseling and work with people and work with their minds. Like, so we got into this whole conversation, which just kept unfolding beautifully. And at some point, I said, what do you do? And he says, I'm in the entertainment industry. I said, what? And, the conversation goes on. And we started talking about what was going on, about to happen on the streets. And I said to him, oh, I know, it's crazy in the world. I was just listening to CNN, and he looked at me and said to me, you should not do that. And I thought, oh, he's going to tell me there's another channel he listens to, right? And I said, why? And he said, because it's really important that we pay attention to what we let seep into our brain. And I was like, now, if this isn't a divine unfolding, right? Like, this is a divine unfolding. Handsome man, smart, right? And in tune. All right, score, God. Now we're doing it, right? And then we went on to say, he goes, life is always unfolding at many different levels. And I said, I know. And I said, I just want to share with you, like, I've really been paying attention to what's going on in my mind. He goes, well, how have you been doing that? I'm like, what I've been watching? And I said, I've been watching, I made a commitment to watch start to finish The West Wing, all 7 series, all 7 seasons of it all. And I'm like, it's really helped me gain a new perspective in regards to the political scene. And he goes, and I'm like, oh, and by the way, we had yet to exchange names. He goes, well, what's your name? I'm like, Keith, what's your name? He reached out his hand, he goes, Josiah. You know the name of the president in the West Wing? Josiah Bartlett, right? Another like, God moment. That's what happened. I share that with you today, not only because it's fun, but also for each of us to remember that at all times this creative process is unfolding. There is the masculine that's happening, and the feminine comes together, providing an experience for us in life. The masculine principle, that which I'm referring to today in creation, refers to the active, directing, manifesting force often associated with building, structuring, and outlining a new creation. The new creation referenced in this context of spirituality that we're speaking about today is the experiences that we have in life. It's that's showing up that as a result of the law of life always doing its part, and to remember that the law of life is always doing its part impersonally. It's not doing it to you, it's doing it through each of us. And our role in the creative process is to pay attention to which we are thinking, believing, acting, reacting as, placing into the law, and then letting the feminine principle of life taking that and provide an experience for us in life, so that we may then begin the thought cycle again, which is thoughts, belief, law, experience, reaction, perception, thought. With me? So the masculine principle here in this creative process is the principle is seen as the active directing and implementing force. It's the builder or the initiator that brings forth into new creation. The feminine is, this principle is the receptive, nurturing, and underlying potential that provides the space or ground for the creation to manifest. The process, called the creation process, is when these two principles work together. When do they work together? Always. That's when they work together, always. The masculine acts on the feminine principle, bringing it into visible form. An example of this in a biological sense is it could be that the male sperm fertilizes the female egg, and in a more metaphorical sense, it could be the idea or plan that drives the creation of a new project or business, or an outward experience that's reflective of the intention to live consciously in June groom. That's what it comes down to. Got it? Full circle moment. So, it's important for you and I to remember that that egg's there waiting to be fertilized, and you and I get to decide what we're fertilizing it with. And the egg is a part of the consciousness which already exists. It's not being manufactured as we place the seed upon it. It's already there within you and within me, known as the field of consciousness, the consciousness of the thing itself. And in our teaching, the qualities of this energy force that is there for us include, but are not limited to, peace and power, beauty and joy, light, life, love, and wisdom. And for you and I to get to experience a life that is reflective of peace and power and beauty and joy and light and life and love and wisdom, it's sitting there awaiting our recognition of it. It's through the awakening of it and the recognition of it then that it shall be fertilized in egg form, if you will, and then that egg must be incubated, if you will, the time, if you will, between us setting the intention and the egg receiving it, being fertilized and showing up and form. Now, you and I want to think that that is a cycle or a factory process and that time really is involved. But as evidence that I had yesterday, it may be involved in the form of maybe 12 minutes or 14 minutes or 62 minutes. But the thing to remember is that it's not about minutes. It's about the creative process that at all time is flowing through us, doing its thing. And what we're called to do, to the best of our ability, more and more and more and more and more, is to tune into that very basic, fundamental component of this teaching that we're all drawn to, which is change your thinking, change your life. Change your thinking, change your life. And when we may forget what it is that we want to change our thinking to, just be open to say, well, I'm willing to change my thinking to be receptive, to be purposeful, to be mindful. Our founding minister, Dr. David Walker, I oftentimes hear him in my head, and he would say, and I've said it from this podium many times, and today my intention is to remind us of the foundations and fundamentals of this teaching because I think it's critical right now. He would say, if you're unclear on what it is you want to think, do spiritual mind treatment around getting clear so that you can be clear. It's important for all of us to remember that we are all on a journey. Yes, it's a journey of finding personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening, but it's also a journey of just remembering who we are as divine beings. Marianne Williamson likes to quote A Course in Miracles that says, the journey is a spiritual journey, and it is of unlearning fear and the acceptance of love. The unlearning of fear and the acceptance of love. Yes, she, and A Course in Miracles, is speaking of the human experience of love in that moment, but it's speaking really of a more transcendent love. It's the agape love. It is the love, as Ernest Holmes defines, as the self-givingness of spirit, whose desire is to create more of itself, and the only way that it can do that is through you and through me. So it's through that realization, that acceptance, that intention, that changing of our thinking, that willingness to be the love that already is there, that it will then move through that creative process and bring back to us an experience of it. But for that to happen, you and I must be willing to change our thinking. which is a result of making a choice. This past, was it Monday? The days have all blurred together. But this past week, we both had the opportunity, and a little bit heartbreaking, to experience the celebration of life of one of our beloved members, Sherry Robb. And it was just the most beautiful experience of coming together at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery of her beloved extended friends and family. And in this lovely, lovely, lovely chapel, we got to honor Sherry and acknowledge her. And the thing that I walked away from that experience with was the vast amount of love that she had cultivated in her life. And not cultivated as in cultivating to bring it in, more that she had cultivated and nurtured so that it would continue on through all that she had touched in her life. And I shared a quote there that's one of my favorite quotes, going back to fundamentals and foundational there. And when I shared the quote, I said it would have brought her great pride because she loved when I used this quote. And so I'm referencing it today, not only because we've all heard it many times, but as a reminder of the importance in life, but to honor our beloved Sherry, as I did last week at the service. What day was that service, Edward? And Monday, it was Monday, right? God, doesn't it seem like Monday was 8 years ago? And here's the quote. It's from Gary Zukav. And I think it's an important one for us to remember as we're choosing to groom in June, okay? Choice is the engine of evolution. If you choose unconsciously, you will evolve unconsciously. If you choose consciously, you will evolve consciously. Choosing to evolve consciously is much better than unconsciously, and most often far less painful. Trust me, been there, done that. Choice, Zukav says, is the second greatest gift we've been given, second only to the gift of life itself. Today, as we all do every day, we have before us an opportunity to make a commitment, to set the intention, to honor a desire that we may have, to make a difference that starts with evolving consciously. And it's through that act of evolving consciously that the difference that we make is an internal difference. That's where it all starts, is inside. Not only through receptivity and purpose and intention, right? But for the purpose of understanding and accepting that every single thing is energy begetting more energy, begetting more energy, begetting more energy. We are energetic beings that just happen to be able to process and experience that energy through our thoughts, our actions, our reactions, and our interactions with life itself, and to remember that we are not victims of what's going on in the world. We're also not victors. We're just beings that have the opportunity to be conscious. And it's through that consciousness we get to co-create the life that we desire to experience moment by moment, as well as in the great macro of life itself. Yesterday, as I was out with those protesting, I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, I've done this so many times. And in one of those moments, not only enjoying so much of the creativity that was happening, but realizing that in those moments, and moments of yesteryear when I was out protesting, yes, times through inspiration and certainly times through desperation, the gay marriage came about, right? Rights have come about. That it's through the humans standing up and using their power of their word that we then get to co-create a destiny that we desire. One of my soul sisters, and I've used this quote every Sunday this month, and I'm going to use it again today, by one of my beloved patriots of making change in our life. Bunny Hall wrote this. And I think it's a clarion call for all of us to remember of the power that's at our disposal. And she says, we create our own destiny as individuals. We always face challenges, and we always will face challenge. But if we remember who we are, what we stand for, and create what is ours to give, life will always rise to meet us where we are. We shall always overcome. So, we're called to continue to be kind, to express love, to care about others, and to live your dreams. Our children need our example. Our children. And what's being referenced there is not necessarily our biological offspring. It's our spiritual offspring. It's to honor those that have provided for us a new way to look at life. And then to accept the invitation, the clarion call, maybe even the charge to do that for those that are to come. And so today I'm inviting us all to make a decision, to make a choice, to choose to go forward, releasing ignorance, and to engage in an awakening, to be a part of the change that we desire to experience. I love this quote that says, "Change knelt down beside me in the wilderness, and in the gentlest voice I've ever heard, she said, 'I love being the reason for all your beginnings.'" Then she kissed the tears from my eyes, stood up, and reached for my hand. This quote is telling us that change is always happening. The question is, how are we showing up? And are we willing to take the hand and to move forward as awake as we possibly can be, as purposeful as we possibly can be, and as intentional as we possibly can be, and then to have faith that the impersonal law of life is doing its part, because it always, always, always is. And so today, let's you and I make a conscious decision to be careful with what seeds that we're implanting the egg of life with. And I'm going to invite you to state this affirmation out loud with me, knowing that it is a seed that is being impregnated into the consciousness of life. And as a result, we will experience its results. So say with me together, I think God is on earth inside every living being. And so what we call the divine is none other than the energy of awakening, of peace, of love, and light. Yes, today, we are the light. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you. Jason's going to continue our journey of song.
Lost and weary traveler, searching for the way to go. Stranger and heavy-hearted, longing for someone you know. May you find a light. May you find a light. May you find a light to guide you home. There are weary travelers searching everywhere you go. longing deeply to be their own. May you find the light. May you find the light. May you find a light to guide you home. May you find a light to guide you home. May you find a light. May you find a light. May you find a light to guide you home. May you find a light. May you find the light. May you find a light to guide you home.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yes, Jason Goldstein. How fabulous, Jason.
Thank you.
So many of you don't know, Jason works with kids. You teach music to kids a lot, right?
I do, yeah.
So aren't we blessed to know that this consciousness is imprinting the world out there, making a difference? So that alone deserves another round of applause.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Definitely. So a big thank you to all of you for being here today. I want to give a shout out to those on YouTube, which I'm sure is probably Dennis and Reverend Lenore and David. They were in town last week. I got to see them, Lenore, a week and a half ago. So they were here for just a brief moment. It was so good to hang out with them. And to Cheryl, I'm sure Cheryl is on Zoom. Our beloved Cheryl Cromwell's there. And anyone else that are watching there, a big hello and a thank you to all of you for being here. Everybody got fun Father's Day plans? That was just a loud yes coming back from all of you, right? No, I think you're all like, oh, avoid the restaurants, right? So, yeah. So thank you all for being here. Now is an opportunity. I'm going to step out of the camera for just a second to hand this off. If you guys don't mind passing it around. It's an opportunity to support our community financially. I know that was an awkward way of handing that off, but I wanted to get that out there. Today is an opportunity. Now is an opportunity to support ourselves financially, and we appreciate all that you can do to do that. I just handed off the basket if we'd like to pass that through the community here, as well as you can go to our website, csl-la.org, and click on donate there, or go to our app in the App Store. Jason, you said you had a song for Conscious Giving you could play for us,
do.
right? To put him on the spot.
Spirit gives through me. Spirit receives through me. Spirit lives and breathes through me. Spirit lives and breathes through me. Spirit gives through us. Spirit receives through us. Spirit lives and breathes through us. Spirit lives and breathes through us. Spirit gives through you. Spirit receives through you. Spirit lives and breathes through you. Spirit lives and breathes through you.
thank you all for the collective effort of collecting. I appreciate that. So, see, we just bend into those moments that are awkward and then just allow the divine to do its thing, right? And thank you for calling Jason on the spot to sing that song. An example of really just being open to the way life is doing its thing. Thank you, Brenda, for standing up and doing that. So just a reminder that we have our midweek morning meditation on Wednesday mornings. If you'd like to avail yourself of those. I know I can speak personally for the one that leads it on Wednesday morning. It's really great to come together every Wednesday morning at 8:30 and just for 20 minutes just center and anchor and reconnect and connect with each other. It's really a fabulous experience. We have an e-newsletter that goes out first part of the week, and tomorrow I've included as my message there tomorrow our Lighting the Flames of Faith. So you guys will all have access to that. I made a commitment to myself this week to light a candle each morning and to read those aloud, to really put the energy out there to make a difference. We have our new thought text for the day, goes out every morning at 7:30. Avail yourself of that and forward it to others. One of the things that was so lovely at this memorial service last Monday was when I would introduce myself, people would say to me, "You're the guy that does the text every morning, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, are you on my list?" And they're like, "Oh, no, Sherry would forward them to us." Like, so she was forwarding it out to her clients. I loved it. So please avail yourself of the opportunity to do that. Our beloved Sherry Bazanis brought some snacks for all of us out there this morning. So know at the after service that we can be in community and be together and take in some coffee and some water and snacks that Sherry brought us. So thank you, Sherry, for that. Yeah, so a big thank you. Thank you to Jason for sharing his wisdom and his light today. A big thank you to Travis Smith in the back for taking care of us. We've got Adam in the back, who is our contact person today. Javi, who does all the setup and breakdown. A big thank you to him. A thank you to our security guard outside, and a thank you to Robert Hensley, and a thank you to all of you. And a big thank you to me for all of us just doing our thing, right? Thank you to each one of you for being here. If you're here for the first time, thank you for bringing your presence and your light to the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. And I know for each of us, we're in deep gratitude for the opportunity to come together and to remember the light that is within, and then the opportunity to shine it forth. No matter what's going on in life, collectively or individually, we all have at our disposal mind, the power, God, the thing itself. And so as we close out, I'm going to extinguish the flame and do a spiritual mind treatment, and then Jason's going to take us out with the song, "Let There Be Peace on Earth." And so if it's comfortable for you, wherever you may be, and you feel safe, I invite you to close your eyes. And just as we purposefully and intentionally lit this candle earlier, acknowledging the various expressions of life that Spirit has placed its stamp upon individually, purposefully and intentionally, as I blow this light out, we accept the expansion of our field of awareness of the light being within us. And using our imaginative abilities, we begin to see in our mind's eye that light inside of us. Being thankful for the great Martin Luther King that taught us that darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. And so as the changes of life unfold moment by moment throughout today and tomorrow and the week ahead, let's remember that we have the opportunity to change our thinking, to remember that we have the power within us to live in God's healing truth. And that truth is that the power that is within us is inexhaustible, infinite by nature, and its qualities include peace and power and beauty and joy, and light, life and love and wisdom. And so since we are each expressions of that which it is, those two are our qualities. And with every time we remember this and open up to that remembrance, not only does the law of life respond in like kind, but we're contributing to an evolving consciousness, our own. And so as we begin to sing these lyrics, let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me, let's also remember that's true for power and beauty and joy and light and life and love and wisdom. We are indeed the agents of change, participating in the creation of the consciousness that we desire to experience and form. It is working as it always is. So just releasing the spiritual mind treatment. If so comfortable, we rise from our seats and open our eyes and sing together the song. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as the power, united all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow.